our drawing. And there's a number of ways of doing it. You came from different instruction in your semester 1 and 2. If you had Shannon Cowles, she uses templates, I think. If you had Gary Wignall, I think he likes sheet sets. And we will do sheet sets later on. Our textbook has a really good chapter on sheet sets. What I want to show you today is full control, idiot-proof, easy, and really, really simple way that I've used for all of my projects, okay? Now, I want to bring your attention to something quite old, Goede Camtasia script files. They were done many years ago. Hopefully, if this recording works, we're going to have an improvement. But all of these were created with the initial software that we were using. So they are, there's no sound, but they are recordings of what I'm doing on the screen. And some of these videos I've added texts to help you out. So let's have a look what we have. Under module, and by the way, I've heard from some of you, you're having a hard time finding things. So I think I came up with a solution. Yesterday on the way to the lab driving, I was thinking, well, what would be the better way to organize it? And I thought, rather than having these presentation highlights, I'm going to just bring it into modules per what we're doing. Does that make sense? Like plans, elevations, sections, and group things this way. Make sense? I'll still keep all recordings in one module, but when you go to sections, if we have recording for sections, I'll put the link in there. So I'll try to help you out. Was it you that was saying it on Tuesday? I think that that might work. If you have any other suggestion, let me know. Because I'm finding that, yeah, it can be a bit confusing because some students come to all the labs, don't come to Tuesdays, and vice versa. So I thought that maybe that will work. That plan information is with plans, elevation with elevations, portfolio with portfolio, rather than breaking it into content and then my Tuesday presentations. Okay? So I'll try to work on it, but it might take a while. The other thing I'll do over weekend is try to mark your projects, but I also have lots of midterms from drafting. So stay tuned. I might start from a Z this time because it's always, you know, you start from the beginning and then the last student always gets feedback last. So I just might, sorry, Keith, I promised you B. I might start from Z students and go up this time. So keep checking your grade. As soon as you see your grade, you can check your comments. Okay. Get started script file is what we did in first week. Remember when we came to first lab? I showed you where to find the files, how to save them on the computer, how to open them up. We talked about making the initial sheet sets template used for the project, but eventually you have actually opened the file that I gave you. So under getting started is that first module. And I think we don't have to go there. You never have to go there because most of you are now competent with getting the proper sheet orientation, making a viewport, making the viewport to scale, and penning your drawing within the viewport. So that's what's under get started. What we're going to do today is create title block geometry, create title block texts, and copy layouts. Notice what else we have. We're going to work, we started talking on Tuesday about dimensioning. We have 4 recordings about dimensioning, 5 actually. And then there's one about making electronic presentation, which you already did with me last semester for PowerPoint presentation, so you're cool with that. And then last but not least, this plot style table, and I see that some of you are already using this information to get better midterm line weights. It wasn't mandatory yet, but eventually it will be. So I just bring to your attention what you already have there. But that was created, I think, in 2009 or 2007 even. And they're short because I was limited back then how much I was able to upload to Mocomotion. We were using back then Mocomotion. So just to give you a heads up, we're going to start with create title block geometry. So if you want to use this format, you can open it up as a separate video. And once it starts running, I'll try to download. Sometimes it's faster. If you haven't opened any of them yet, there's only one little trick is that you can have it open and then right-click. So it runs like this, and you can minimize it. You see, like I'm giving you all kinds of comments. You're just not hearing me or not seeing me like you do after today's class, hopefully. So, but I'm giving you instructions of what to do. Now, it's not HTML yet. You can stop it by clicking on play. Now you can go back to AutoCAD, try it, come back, right-click, and play again, and it keeps going. Okay? So what we're going to do today is we're going to do exactly what's happening here. That's where we are. And your project now has much more content because it's no longer existing. Now it's proposed project. So while we're getting into this, I think for midterm, you were already asked to kind of decide with either portrait or landscape layout. So I'm going to use portrait today just because the way I have my drawing. We'll start from new layers. What kind of layers do you think we'll need? I'm going to start with creating margin and title block text. I'm going to put those on a separate layer. I'm going to give them color. And then what I'm doing is I'm creating lines over the viewport. Sometimes you're going to find out in the future that viewports are not necessarily the same as the margins. On a large sheet, you might create multiple viewports, and sometimes you may want to turn them off so they don't print at all. So viewport actually should be sitting on a separate layer. The other thing that I'm doing here is I'm offsetting lines. Now when you offset lines, you offset lines. If you don't have lines, you'll be offsetting the viewport, creating multiple viewports, so it wouldn't work. So I'm basically creating geometry, and then I go into the next module. The next script files is about inserting texts. So it kind of looks like doing it from scratch, but what I'm going to try to sell you on is if you do one, and you do a beautiful title block, you select some nice fonts, then the last module shows you how you can copy this layout with everything you've just done, all of the beautiful fonts, within the same file, and then copy it to another file, and then copy it to another project. So the benefit of this is once you do a really nice one title block that looks really hip and professional, you can copy it to Shannon Kyle's project, you can copy it into Peter Olinik's or Rocco, whoever you're submitting AutoCAD project to. Now that also means that in the future, if you do get project like this and you're going to do it on your own, all you have to do is bring your beautiful title block and change it. Okay? So that's the plan. Now with that plan in mind, I'm going to abandon eLearn and I'm going to go to AutoCAD. Okay, so I am going to open my drawing. Going to open my drawing from from D drive. Hopefully my files are still here. Goede, do not erase. I'm going to open main floor plan and start with my main floor plan. Now let's touch base again because we're going to deal with title block. It belongs in paper space. It belongs in layouts. So let's take a moment and look at your floor plan and make sure that you have model tab, you have arch D tab, and then you should have main. So if I click on main, this is where we left off last time for printing. And if you haven't done anything yet, then your drawings were submitted as midterm like this. But I have noticed many of you had a gut feeling that the midterm should have title block and you already did it. So if you did it, you can improve on it today, or maybe yours is better, who knows. Now I'll tell you what I don't like. The sheet sets are designed for sending out number of drawings at one time with presets to a plotter. You're going to use sheet sets in the larger office for larger projects. Guys, can we ask you to be quiet because we're recording, okay? So our textbook has a fabulous chapter on sheet sets and we will go over it later. For smaller projects, I don't like, if you had Shannon Kyle's for your instructor in CAD, I think she likes to use the AutoCAD templates, and lots of students like them too. I personally don't like them, especially for our small sheets, because if you bring template from AutoCAD, you're going to lose that much space on 8.5 by 11 sheet. That's too much. And there's lots of stuff in there that we don't need, like revisions. We are not going to be issuing drawings for initial revisions. We're not going to issue it for a building permit application, for bidding. We're just going to submit it, period, right? So we need far less information. And what is to be included on a title block is going to be important, and I'll try to make sure that we cover that so you're clear of what is mandatory to have there. What is mandatory is what we were teaching you in drafting 1, basically the same components. But we don't have lots of room because we're going to add minus existing. You have your addition, and we're going to add dimensions, right? So we have to be a little bit more careful with our space. So let's go back to that tab, main, okay? And the magic click, right click, magic click. Remember, those are the things that you can use, those are the functions of AutoCAD you can use for Layout tab. What have we done before? We have done the Page Setup Manager. It's already set up to go to printer in scale, and you should check it, right? If it says 1/8, we're cool. And it is to be printed perfectly in PDF or at Mohawk College Labs. Yes? And we're comfortable doing it. Shh. I am going, you could create new layout, but I'm not going to create new layout because then I have to start Page Setup Manager again. So what I'm going to do is something new. I'm going to copy. I'm going to, you have to remember to make this radio button active. And then what am I going to copy? Not Arch D, main. And notice that you can rearrange them, but now it's easy, you can shuffle them around using your mouse. And okay, and what happens is immediately I get another exactly the same layout. I'm going to take it and see, this is what I meant. You don't have to play with the move hard way, you can just move it. I'm going to rename it immediately. It's going to be very important that you get into habit of renaming your layouts, and you'll see why. I'm going to rename it as my title instruction, just so I know what I'm doing. And I'm going to go to it, and it looks exactly the same. Okay, so now we're going to go to that script file that we were just looking at, and we're going to start from creating a couple new layers. So a couple new layers will be, one will be margins, and I'm going to make them red. Why am I making them red? What do you think? Remember how I'm reserving red for my thick lines? Okay, red. Then I'm going to create another title block, a layer called title text. Did I spell it right? Close enough. Now, for title text, I'm going to pick something towards the end because I want my text to come out with a really, really fine pen. So it's really slick and elegant. Okay, now I'm going to click on margins, make them current, close this box, and I'm ready to fly. Line. No problem picking boxes, the corners, because I have my O-snaps on. C for close to make sure that it's nice and continuous. Okay? Easy. Now I have viewport and line over viewport. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create some kind of geometry. So we are in paper space. We're working 1-to-1 on 8.5 by 11 sheet. How much space do you want to allocate for our title block? This much. It shouldn't be Mohawk College standard of 50 millimeters, right? We don't have that much space on 8.5 by 11. How about we go with inch? Sounds good? Now, if you make it slightly bigger, slightly smaller, it's up to you. Ultimately, you do have a fair amount of freedom of how you design your professional title block. I'm going to offset by 1 inch, enter this line. Now, while I'm at it, because Mohawk College is into these square boxes, remember from drafting, I offset the other line as well. I'm going to hit enter and enter again and specify distance as, let's say, 2 inches, enter, and offset this line 2 inches this way, enter, enter again, offset by 1 inch to create that second square box that Mohawk College likes very much, where we put, remember where we put the circle? For your lovely signature. That's your drafting one-on-one, okay? So now I simply trim with this cutting edge these 3 lines. And now I'm going to add something else that's quite common in Mohawk College title block. You know that mid divisions? So I'm going to go from mid to, I have to go perpendicular here. and enter. Now, because the next stage is adding text, I'm going to zoom on just this area so you can see better. And that is basically the end of that script file titled Create Geometry. Now you can deviate from it, because let's now commit and discuss what we need on this drawing. I hope not to forget anything, because if I do forget, you're going to hold me to it. So, what do you think we need on a title block? Shoot. Anybody with me? Come on, help me here. Scale, very important. Scale 1/8 of an inch. I need your name. You've got to give me your last name, not your initials, not Johnny S. It's got to be your last name. Hopefully you have room for a space and then maybe your first initial, in case there is somebody else with exactly the same last name. Okay, what else do we need? How about green project residence renovation? Now, what is this particular drawing? Which drawing did I open? It is main plan. So the sheet title, right? Remember that from drafting? Sheet title. This particular one is proposed main floor plan. Now, how about the design office that produces drawings? That will be something that's very important. When drawings go for building permits, whenever drawings are going for bids, the thing that stands out a lot is who actually produced the work. So we're going to either put Mohawk College, and you can steal Mohawk College logo from the website, or the big hawk, anything that will jazz up, remember, your frame for your project. So if you design a poor quality title block, your fantastic project is not going to look as good. And if you have a lousy project and you have a masterpiece of a frame, it's going to help it. So I would say it doesn't take that much time. Put some effort into designing this one good title block, and you will enrich your project. So there might be some more divisions required. Okay, there might be a division required from quarter point. I'm going to draw a line from here to here, and another line from midpoint. Oops, what was that? Line. It's much easier when all of these settings are automatically saved. Okay, so this is to get a perfect geometry. You may want to use some oh no, save. Okay, let's get this habit going again. That whenever you get something done and you would hate to lose it, let's save. So I'm going to save my file. So maybe this is not perfect, but I'm going to start with that just to make sure that I have room for everything. So now I'm going to switch to title text layer. Title text. And the first thing we're going to do in title text is let's go to the annotate tab. And remember, on Tuesday, the video that I showed you, this is a tricky little arrow to remember. I'm sure you used it in your CAD 1 and 2, but if you haven't, always pay attention to this. This is maybe 2 versions old, and it's sometimes missed. I know when this came out, I kept looking for where is this text style. So this is your customized settings for your styles. Okay, the lesson number 1 here, again, no matter what you were taught in your previous semesters, please do always set a new style. So in other words, the template that we used, the architectural imperial template came with Roman style. I would suggest you use that Roman style for your dimensions, maybe even notes, because it's by far the most common now in architectural drawings. City Blueprint came from my drawing, and I suggest you don't use it. It's the closest one to hint printing, but it is too, let's call it squished. It does not always print properly. It is double line font that takes lots of space in your memory. And if you use, even if you use a thin pen, it will bleed and it will be actually quite dark. So guess why I used it? I used it so you don't use it. So you sit here and listen to me, right? So students who will work with my city blueprint, I will know they didn't listen. It's not the best font to use. But you could maybe play with it for Titleblock if you really like it. Don't use standard. The standard is the standard, and it screams lack of knowledge in AutoCAD. Honestly, when I look at students' work and I see standard font, in preview, standard looks very much like Roman, but believe me, on your note, it is awful. So you don't want to use standard that comes as a default font. You want to use this one. It's one line, it's sharp, it's clean, it's got nice spacing between numbers, dimensions come out perfect. But ultimately, it is your project, so if you find something else, at least try to get font for your dimensions and notes that has one line. Now, for Titleblock, I'm going to create 2 new styles. So remember to use new style and not override the existing styles with another font. Because then you're just going to have mess and you will not be able to jump from one font to the other. Okay? The only way to jump from one font to the other is to jump between your own styles. Alright, so I'm going to call this style bold. Why bold? Capital letters. Bold. I'm going to call this one bold because I know from doing these houses before that I use bold for like numbers or titles or something that needs to be really punched. Okay? What do I use for bold, ladies and gentlemen? So you highlight the bold and now you look for your font. I'll show you one that's my favorite. I always forget what it's called. I think it's in Swiss Family Robinson. That's how I remember it. Swiss. Look how many of them. They're all different. The first one is a little bit squished, so I think I like the second one. Have a look at this font. On small sheets, like some of the other ones in this family, they are bold like this. On small sheet, when students print their final project and they use something that strong, all you see on your drawing is this black text. Not good. So I personally, when I did these residential projects, I really like that second one because it's sharp, it's clean, it's clear. So I'm going to set it like this, apply. Now I'm going to create another one, I think I'm losing my voice, called title text, because I want to differentiate it from my notes and text within the drawing, which will be Roman and nice and clean. Title text means I'm going to do something funky here, something a little bit better than Roman, visually. Okay, so under title text, now here, sky is the limit. I like that Swiss for like drawing number and stuff, but Lucienda calligraphy. Okay, let's talk about this one. If that's something you like for Titleblock, you could potentially use it. I personally don't like these, you know, these book-like. I'm very technical. I think drawing should be technical. So pick something that you like. How about handwriting? Now, one thing that I don't want you to use, ladies and gentlemen, is those really like Gothic Pristina. Ooh, no. See, these will not be all clear. Revit. Ooh. Okay. How about I'll go to basic Arial? Sounds good. Nice and clean. Okay. Okay. Never change the height here. If you change the height here, the height of your text will not be controlled in AutoCAD. It will be brought over as an image completely unrelated to your file, and you'll be in big trouble. And AutoCAD will never prompt you for height because you specified the height. And it'll have nothing to do with the height you need. Okay? So never change the height here. Okay? So title texts are Arial, regular, and I'm going to go back to bold. Yes, bold, and set it as current. And close. So I'm ready to have my bold statement. I'm going to go back to home just because for the purpose of my title block and my texts for title block, I like to use, I'm going to escape and open this up, single line text. Guys in the back, did you hear me? You got to listen to this one. I like single line because it's the easiest way to get the very first option here to justify. So what I'm going to show you now is just a trick that I use, and it's a magic trick. You're going to love it. I have never seen it in the books. It's just like, you know, we're all lazy. When I was doing these projects, I wanted things done fast, and you're going to love it. So what you want to do is you want to say J, single line text, J to justify, and then F to fit. Look at the magic thing. I'm going to pick a text, pick the point, and now it's the time to take the O snaps off. And I'm going to pick a point here, go along, put the ortho on, go along, and I am visually judging the distance from where I picked the first point, so it's symmetrical on the other side, and I'm going to click. Then AutoCAD is asking me for height, and I can type in height, or I can try to make it exactly symmetrical with regards to height as well. Now I'm ready to type. I'm going to make this my proposed main floor plan. Look what's happening. Proposed main floor plan. See what's happening? Okay, I like it. I'm going to click to enter it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the trick number 2. I'm going to now copy this text. Remember, we're lazy. Copy this text. I'm going to take it from here to here. What's happening? I got ortho on. They're lining up perfectly, aren't they? Okay? Except I have a little bit too many boxes. So proposed main floor plan. How about I'll make this. I'll double click on it. How about I'll make this Grimsby space, 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 Ontario, and enter. How about I'm going to copy it again, just so all my texts line up, and I'm going to go here, double click on it, call it green, now one other thing that you can watch here is you can alter the content in order for your title block to look good. If I want residence addition, if I want to add project, eventually the text is just going to be squished and not look good. So as I have the text, I can alter my project title. Green Residence Edition. Okay, how about if I want my Green Residence Edition to be taller? Simply change the properties. You can go even to quick properties because the height comes up as 1/8 of an inch. I'm just simply going to make it 1/4 inch. And look what happens. Beautiful. All I have to do is move it down a bit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, lesson number 2. I also want things to line up this way, right? I'm going to take copy, Green Residence, enter, and I'm going to copy it from here to here. You see how it lines up perfectly, right? If I click on it, I can squish it to fit in my box perfectly symmetrically. And it's a horrible text. All I need here is A01. Was that quick? Magic. Now I can look at it and say, Grimsby, Ontario, I want that 1/16. So it's a little bit, it turned out really nice, didn't it? Grimsby, Ontario looks good. You may want to move it high. So now the next thing that I can do is, actually I'm not finished yet. Proposed main floor plan, quick properties. I'm going to use that other font. Not layer, but somewhere here I'm going to change from bold to title texts. Now I'm getting somewhere. Close this. Now I'm going to copy main floor plan. Line it up with A above, enter, select it, squish it so it lines up with A1, and alter it to scale 1/8 of an inch equals 1'-0 inches. And if it looks good, we click and we'll leave it. If you think it's too much, then maybe take the scale out and just leave 1/8. It all depends how much room you have. So somewhere, I think maybe here, I would give myself my name. So maybe I would copy this again. I think you're getting the drift right now. Squish it symmetrically to other information and override it with nice and clear caps space D. Click. And I think on all accounts and purposes this is starting to look good. I would probably move with O snaps off, move my circle so it's beautiful. You could bring any graphic, you could bring any logo. The last box here, which belongs to the design office, can be Mohawk College Building Construction Sciences, Hamilton, Ontario. It could have the Mohawk College logo. Or if for your portfolio you want to create your own professional logo and you call yourself something, by all means. Start fresh. Start a new company. Call yourself Best Design Ever Inc. Okay? That's fine. The only thing I'll ask you not to do, there's actually two things I'm going to ask you not to do. Don't call yourself architect. Because I want you to be able to take these drawings to architects for job interview. And architects are like doctors. They want you to pay your dues. They want you to go through slavery that they went through. So don't call yourself architect because you're going to aggravate them rather than get the job. Call yourself Best Design Company, Best Drafting Services, whatever you want. Okay, the second thing, I'm going to strongly suggest that you, this happens every year, because we're at Halloween time, you want to spook me with these gothic fonts. And it's a cute joke. But then you're stuck with that title block when you're going for job interview. Hey, send me a spooky Christmas card. No, spooky Halloween card. But stay away from the temptation to make a joke of putting these spooky Halloweenish costumes and stuff in your title block just because we're 2 days from it, okay? And it happens every year. Okay, so I am going to save this, and that's the script file number 3 titled Add Text. So now the last thing to show you is actually the most important thing. I'm going to show you how to cheat. Sounds good? Came to class, at least I can teach you how to cheat. So the suggestion, once I teach you how to cheat, and you want to use your friend's title block, please do edit it to the point where I can't recognize it. Okay? And even better, you came to class, you're getting good instruction, do your own. Do your own and use it in the future, because what I'm going to show you now is a great tool. Okay, so let's cheat. How many of you have created all floor plans in one drawing? So we have about half of you, and every year students do it. So I have main, upper, they're all separate drawings. If you have all floor plans, then what you want to do is you want to click on this title block after you saved it. And you want to now copy it. Which one? Title instruction. Create a copy. Okay. Now we have two. Usually you will be moving the next one to this to the end. I'm going to immediately right click on it and rename it, and I'm going to call it upper. So you would have upper plan, basement plan, roof plan. That's how you create a new layout. So now if this is upper plan, look at this, title instruction, upper plan. You know what to do here. You've got to go in and pen. But here is the beauty of what I just taught you. Okay? Guys, you got to all look at me now. What are you watching? Come on, you got to watch me now. Okay. The project is the same. What's the drawing number? Okay. A2. Proposed main floor plan becomes Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to save. Let's say, is there anybody who has also elevations in the same drawing? All right, we got 2. It should be separate, but hey, I'm not going to tell you how to organize your work. You're going to make another copy, create a copy of upper, take it to the end, right-click on it, rename it to elevations, elevs, or it will be more like front or north and south, so let's say north elev. And under north elevation, here is the beauty, ladies and gentlemen. If you go to this layout now, you pan to show your elevation. This becomes, you know how to change the drawing number, but look at this magic. And already yesterday, students have not taken my advice and did not benefit from this. So look at this, proposed upper floor plan. This becomes proposed what? Are you with me? North elevation. If you don't use single line, J to justify, fit, you will not get this beauty. Because if you just go to text, if you just go to function text, escape, and you start writing. So the first specify second endpoint baseline. Let me baseline. We're still in single, right? Specify height. Let's say enter. And then you type north elevation. Did it remember? Yeah, it still remembered it as a... Anyway, so if you use the single and it remembers the justification, then we're cool. But if you don't switch and you use the multi-line text, let's try this, then you're in this editing format where the text is being brought over with the fixed size, and whatever you enter will go in, click as the size, and you can only squish it this way, and it's not always going to give you the result that you're after. So in other words, the font is going to keep going beyond your allocated space. So that's why using this technique is awesome. Okay, so the last thing, now that we're so wonderfully smart, the last thing will be to open another drawing. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to open another drawing. So let's take my site plan and open. We don't want to do the same title block again, right? We want it easy. Gentlemen, we want it easy? Yeah, we want it easy. Okay, so we're going to right-click on Layout 1. We're going to not create new template, not copy, we've got nothing to copy. We're going to save from template. And this is, by the way, how you access AutoCAD templates. Have a look at them. As far as I'm concerned, they're all useless. They haven't changed since the origins of AutoCAD. We will work with sheet sets later on. But what I'm asking you to do simply is to switch template to drawing. Remember that little thing? Students forget that. And then scroll for the drawing where you have the newly created masterpiece. And I have it in my subdirectory on main plan, and look at all of these layouts that I have. This is why you need to get into habit of renaming your tabs, so you clearly know what you're looking for. On my own house, my house plans have the whole, you know, these layout here, the whole string of here is layout tabs, because I have my all kinds of like 20 years of projects in one floor plan. There is a way of controlling what's visible in different layout. So I create all these layouts for whenever I need something. One might be for estimating purposes, which is just an overlay of plywood sheets or something for estimating purposes. One might be cost analysis that I don't always want to show to the contractor. Okay? So naming these files is very important. So anyone that I've just created, main, so I'm going to pick main or north elevation, has just been created. Okay, let's zoom extend so we can actually see what happened. Do you see the major thing that happened? If I click inside of my viewport, look at the scale. The scale came from with the layout. And the scale for main floor plan is 1/8 of an inch, right? So that's the only thing that you'll have to, the extra step that you'll have to do for just site plan drawing. You will have to go back into changing this scale to, what are we using? 16, and then maybe pan it. But other than that, if I zoom previous, oops, undo. Got to go to paper space and zoom previous. The other thing that we have to do is, this stays the same. My site plan drawing number is A0. Scale changes. Now what happened? What happened? I can't pick it. Can't pick it. What's going on? When I look at your very final submission, when you give me drawings, I will be looking for this little trick here, okay? When you click inside viewport, you're now inside viewport. My text is in paper space, so I got this mess. I got to go back to paper space. But this is wrong to start with, because look, if I go back to model space and move my plan, let's say you've got content. Look what happens. We can't have that. We got to chop it, don't we? Anybody has an idea of what we need to do? Yes? Second viewport or alter the viewport? If you lock the viewport, then we're not improving this. You're very close. We need to change something to do with viewports, but creating second viewport will show us our site plan second time. We simply have to alter this viewport. So in paper space, look at another little trick. I'm going to go from right to left and click like this. I have selected viewport and the red line, right? If I make this hot to move, I will also stretch my line. Time is money. I'm going to take this corner and simply plug it in this corner. I've got to bring my O-snaps back. Ta-da! Problem partially fixed. I will not be 100% requiring you to do this, but I think you should know that the drawing that's printed all the way to the title block does not look good, right? So there should be another fix. And this is the advance. This is people who are flying through this and understand everything. If you were to actually fix the viewport on the inside, you see what happens? All we have to do now is specify this viewport to be on the layer, the viewport, the actual viewport box on the layer, and either freeze it or don't print it. Advanced stuff, and you can read up about it, but that's how, if you freeze this viewport as a line and it's not showing, the content will be showing, just the layer called the viewport will be not showing. Should we test it? Let's test it. Because if not, then we have to turn this on or off. Right click. When in doubt, right click. I haven't checked this before, but there's properties, layer properties, shade plot as display, hidden. If I do hidden, okay, when you go to create PDF, that line won't print. You could also test whether if you put viewport on a frozen layer, I'm just afraid that maybe we'll lose the content. So that's something that we can test as we cruise around. I haven't tested it, so better be safe than sorry. Okay, so I'm going to undo this because I'm not going to require this. So my viewport is right now here, because most of you will not have your geometry coming all the way to the lines. But you see, even this property line will be cut a little bit shorter, so there will be like breathing clean air around your drawing, so the drawing looks much more professional. Okay, so I am going to save this, go back to paper space, and we've inserted now Titleblock to another drawing. So this is no longer proposed upper floor plan, but proposed site plan. And the scale is 1/16 of an inch. So your name stays the same. Drawing numbers change. Title stays the same. Mohawk stays the same. The only thing that changes is drawing number, potentially scale, and the sheet title. Save. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you could create this title block as a separate drawing, and you could save it at your home computer as a template to start with. So you would start a new file from Sheet Sets, Architectural Imperial Template, and in the Layout tab, you could create this and save it as another My Residential template. In that template, you could create a new layout, and that new layout you could do a setup manager as D size. You have the arch D size, but you could have other sizes. Once you select the plotter, you could do A1. So later on in the semester, one of the labs will be about creating, one of the final submission requirements will be an A-size layout with multiple viewports. So, but you could create 11 by 17. Some of the posted student examples use 11 by 17. Some use D-size. So you could create within your file quick 8.5 by 11s, professional A1 size sheets, 11 by 17 enlargements. You could have as many sheets as you need. And the beauty is that the boss comes to the office and says, we got meeting with the bank, I need small sheets. You send them to the printer. They're always ready to go. The title block, the whole shebang is ready. So let's now take a completely different scenario. I am going to start a new project. New. Let's rehash this. It's absolute importance that you don't use the default blank screen at Mohawk College, right? Or at home for that matter. We're going to take Architectural Imperial and open. So I'm starting a brand new project. This is your own project this summertime, okay? And you're doing it for Smiths. Okay? What I'm going to do here is right-click on this Layout tab and say From Template. From Template, it looks at the last subdirectory I've been. Perfect. I want my perfect title block here for 8.5 by 11. It's done. It's in 1/8 of an inch scale, and it's done. I don't have Smith Residence yet. Oh, sorry, that's a wrong one. That's a wrong one. Let's do it again. I picked the wrong. Title instruction was the one I called. But it's good, good lesson. Right? Ready to go? Viewport, 1/8 of an inch. It's not perfect because I haven't fixed that layout. So I would say make sure you do all this before you start copying them to other files. But ultimately, the only thing that I need to do here is make sure I'm in model space and change this to Smith Home. And the new project is started. The same originator, the same scale from my plan, the same even number. Okay? This is how you bring this title block for your other courses, for your other projects. I would say the one thing that you don't want to do is use this technique to give your title block to the buddy that's not here today. Because I have a magic way, million eyes, to see exactly the same title blocks. And if you do this, then make sure that that circle is moved just so that everything is changed around enough that I don't catch it. But ultimately, you're here, you learned this, protect your title blocks, don't leave anything hanging on D drive, right? And then we'll be all good. So did we cover everything? Did I forget anything? Everybody's cool? Cool, but it took a little bit longer and I've lost my voice. So I'm going to stop the recording. Let's take the next hour so everybody can get it done. As soon as you have a title block that you're happy with, maybe it's not going to be today, then throw it into Dropbox titled title block. It could be a drawing or it could be a blank sheet. All I'm going to look at is your design of your title block. Okay? Lovely PDF, and it could have your floor plan or site plan, whatever. Yes? Okay, so I'm going to stop. Thank you very much for cooperation.